Fox coming to you from IRL F1 2019. This is F2 League, Season 2, Round 6 at Monaco. We're doing a Monaco night race, and so far qualifying is in the rain, and we are a few minutes behind. Once again, we were having streaming issues thanks to YouTube, Codemasters, and PlayStation, and everybody in between. So, unfortunately, this stream will not be on the official IRL race channel, but by all means tune in here while we get this underway. We're going to start with an 18-minute qualifying session. Nobody has set a time yet. Jump into a 50% race, and if you'll give me just a moment, I'll get everything up and running officially, as we do have 12 drivers joining us today so far. It looks like we do have a couple of guys chiming in on the live chat, or showing up at least, I should say, as I try to get the rest of this going. And it looks like we do have some guys setting some times now. Jared Fosbury, Kevin Harrison, Jack Yates, Paco Suarez, Andre Zaz. It's an all-Nexus Team Racing top 5. Cameron Weston Edwards, 6th quickest time so far. And Mr. Sneaky Pete, Andre Pastana, has set a time of 1:59.99. I'm sure he'll be able to do better than that. And we are just about ready to get rolling here. We got a car backwards on the track. Looked like that was one of the Mercedes. We got Charlie Russell joining us on the live chat. So let's run down the driving order. Jared Fosbury in the McLaren, currently 3rd in the championship point standings. Nexus Aspect is Kevin Harrison in the Sauber, followed by his teammate Jack Yates. That is your championship points leader. Paco Suarez is in the Mercedes. Andre Zaz is going to be in the Red Bull. Cameron Weston Edwards in the Ferrari. Looks like he's going to be making some tire changes and wing change. Andre Pastana in the Haas, as he has now improved his time to go 5th quickest. Adrian Storm is going to be in the Mercedes. He's still in the pips. Chipsman Crunchy is... I got his name wrong last week, and I don't want to do that again. That is James Jock in the Williams, followed by Luis Wassman. I'm sorry, that wasn't the Williams, that was the Racing Point. Ivan Brito will be in the McLaren, and then Alexander Bastos will be rounding out our 12 drivers. For today's race. All right, now let's pick up the action here. There's 11:20 left to play in the session. Jared Fosbury has gone fastest with a 1:23.019, currently the provisional pole setter. And this is round 6 of F2 Season 2. Last week we were at round 5 of COTA, Circuit of the Americas, where Eric Salama picked up his 2nd pole position of the year and also came home with his 3rd win of the season. See a little bit of a twitch there from Fosbury's car. Jack Yates picked up his 5th straight podium of the year. He is currently batting 1,000. Has scored a podium in all 5 races so far this year. We'll pick him up here in the Sauber. Jared Fosbury, who we were just watching in the McLaren, came home for 3rd. It was his 3rd podium of the year. Rounding out your finishing order was Daniel Tamberg in 4th. Jorge Correa was 5th. Cameron Weston Edwards, who's currently 7th fastest, came home 6th last week. Kevin Harrison was 7th. Adrian Storm came home 8th. Thomas Scott was 9th. And Alexander Bastos rounded out your top 10 points-paying positions, while Paco Suarez came home 12th behind Louis Quinlan. Quinlan finally finishing a race, so that's a good progress for him. And then drivers 13th through 20th last week, we had a full grid. We're all DNFs. It was James Harworth, Harry Cooper, Andre Zaz, Joshua Arnold, Jamie Griffiths, Ivan Brito, Luis Wassman, and James Jock, all with the DNFs. In fact, Joshua Arnold was a big story at the end of the race. He actually has a race ban heading into this week for ignoring blue flags and causing a collision while a lap down with one of the lead lap cars. That was his fourth DNF. He was subsequently disqualified from round 5 and was given a race ban because of it. Harry Cooper, on the other hand, had his second DNF, and right before today's race, he had elected to quit the league because it was not good timing for him. Apparently, the start time on his side of the pond was 4:30 in the afternoon, and that did not work for him, and he was having trouble making all the races, which is too bad because Harry Cooper had won the pole and the race back at round 4 in Canada, and he had shown speed last year, so we will go on without Harry Cooper. In other news, Ivan Brito picked up his third DNF last time out, as we continue to watch Iceman Jack Yates. So a lot of drivers have yet to set a time. Adrian Storm is still in the pits. Now, Luis Wassman just came across the line at a 1:28.941, and he slaps the wall with the left rear tire coming around turn 1. Put some lap data up for everybody. So, drivers who have yet to set a time: Adrian Storm, James Jock, Ivan Brito, and Alexander Bastos. And looks like Wassman is going to pull off to the side. He was well off of the pace in Sector 1. And looks like he's doing the Austin Powers to try and get his car turned around, and he is away at the hairpin. So Kevin Harrison with a good qualifying time at a 1:23.252, and Kevin Harrison actually showed some wet prowess earlier in the season. It was round 3 in Mexico where the race had started in the dry and ended in the wet. He ran a very long first stint on hard tires, made a perfect changeover when the rain started to fall. And now we see Nexus Aspect Kevin Harrison goes 1:22.636 to take the provisional pole. So he's showing his wet capabilities again here in Monaco at the night race. And it looks like we're getting an update from Adrian Storm, who's struggling with a hand injury. And Adrian Storm is one of the gamers that does play with a wheel, so depending on his pain level, he may not be able to make it through the race. Too bad for him. Adrian Storm has struggled a little bit so far this year. And Jared Fosbury telling me that we need to sort this streaming thing out, and I agree with you, Jared. We need to have a talk with PlayStation and YouTube on how they would like to make that easier for us going forward. Things that are out of my control. And we will pick up Jared Fosbury, Nexus clone in the McLaren. And he goes 1:22.640, 4 thousandths of a second off of the pole time set by Kevin Harrison. Andre Zaz is 1:23.141. So the only two drivers to break into the 1:22s has been Harrison and Fosbury. Everybody else is running in the 1:23s from 3rd through 5th. Then you've got Sneaky Pete Pestana out on an outlap, who's the first driver to go 1:24s. Luis Wassman has struggled at a 1:28.941. Looks like he's coming out of the pits now. Adrian Storm, we're going to keep an eye on him, struggling with that hand injury, as he said in the live chat. See if it affects the way he drives his car. Currently on an outlap. Short shifting in the rain, definitely. Less than 6 minutes left to play in the session. We've got a cautions flying in Sector 1 and Sector 2. Oh, and a 5-place grid penalty for Paco Suarez. Looks like for causing a collision. So Suarez, currently 5th quickest, and he'll get a 5-spot grid penalty, so that'll drop him to 10th. Looks like Adrian Storm went on an outlap, and he's already back in the pits. He didn't even try to do a hot lap, so Adrian Storm is on pad, so that may be even tougher for him, depending on what that hand injury is, and he's already back in the pits. So we pick up James Jock in the Racing Point Formula One car. Is yet to set a time. So Alexander Bastos out. Looks like there was maybe a collision with him. And that is what has dropped Suarez still on a 5-spot grid penalty. Ivan Burrito is the only other driver who's yet to set a time. He's currently in the pits. Actually, everybody in the pits right now with the exception of Suarez and Cameron Weston Edwards, who's down in the hairpin section. And here comes James Jock. He will start we'll start a hot lap, it looks like. We'll hop on board with him as he runs to the top of the hill. Sweeping left-hander, easy on the brakes, easy on the throttle. Ooh, and you can see the back end wants to come around on him on those intermediates. Big twitch there as he gets very close to the arm cone. Looks like he might have brushed it with the left side. Down into the hairpin section. Couple of right-handers, and then he's going to be into the tunnel area. Transition from wet to dry. Tries to get the power down. Oh, and the back end wants to come around again. Good save coming out of there. Hard on the brakes, down into the quick left-right chicane. And it looks like he may have invalidated his time. He's going to pull off to the side, let Adrian Storm go by. So we'll pick up Adrian Storm again, who is yet to set a time. He's on an out lap. And he has corrected me, he is a pad driver. And I want to say this about Adrian Storm. If he's a pad driver, he's actually a really good pad driver, using a controller. He sets really good lap times. A lot of these guys do use a wheel. This game is extremely hard to try and run on a pad. So props to Adrian Storm. We're going to hop on board with him as he starts a hot lap here through turn 1. See how he does with his hand injury, trying to get up the top of the hill. See if he can set a time. You can hear how gingerly he's being on the throttle. Through the hairpin, the slowest corner on not just this whole circuit, but the whole F1 schedule. That is the slowest corner where the drivers get down to about 35 to 40 miles per hour. And now he is through the tunnel. Looks like he's catching up to a car in front. That car is going to pull inside. That was Ivan Brito in the McLaren. Lets him go by. As Storm is going to try and set a time here. Struggling. Oh, and what was that? Brito almost had a collision with him. At least I believe that was Brito. Yeah, definitely Ivan Brito on an out lap. We'll pick up Adrian Storm through Rascass. Last couple of corners here. And again, he dives into the pits. He's yet to set a time. When he retires from the session, so maybe that hand injury is giving him a little bit more problems than we expected. So he is not going to be able to set a time. Meanwhile, Jared Fosbury to the top of the charts now, 1:22.403. He takes back the provisional pole from Kevin Harrison, and it looks like Fosbury just had did he run over something, or did he hit the wall? Looks like a piece of carbon fiber was flying there on the track. So less than a minute to play. So we're going to keep tabs on Kevin Harrison here in the Sauber, Jared Fosbury. And Fosbury's up on his Sector 2 time by 11 thousandths of a second. He's got another car in front of him. Ivan Brito calls it a day. He will not set a time. Chipsman Country's on Chipsman Crunchy. James Jock is on an out lap. We continue to watch Kevin Harrison and Jared Fosbury. Who's going to get pole position on this one? Fosbury trying to improve upon his time, keep that pole position. 2/10 down is Kevin Harrison. He's going to try and take it back. He was your provisional pole sitter a couple of laps ago, and Fosbury car is twitching, cuts that corner a little tight. That might validate his current time. And time is up. Hot laps will count. Looks like Paco Suarez is locked in at a 1:22.842. Remember, he's got that 5-spot grid penalty. Jared Fosbury coming out of the last corner down the straightaway. and he's going to come across the line 1:22.014, 3/10 faster than his previous time. And now Kevin Harrison has his work cut out for him as he's 6/10 off the pace. He's coming out through Rascast now. He's got one more corner to go before he hits the front stretch. Harrison trying to get the power down. He's going to be coming across the line. This one's going to be close. 1:22.010, and he takes it by 0.04 of a second. Kevin Harrison, your provisional pole sitter. Unbelievable time by Harrison and Jared Fosbury. Meanwhile, we're going to pick up Pestana. He's still currently on an outlap, and it looks like he's slowed down. He's 10 seconds off the pace. And Jack Yates comes across with a very disappointing 7th quickest time. So, unbelievable run by Kevin Harrison in the Sauber, showing his wet prowess again. His teammate Jack Yates is your championship points leader. He's gone 5 for 5 this year with podiums, scoring a podium finish in all 5 races so far. He's going to have his work cut out for him, starting in the 7th spot. But unbelievable time set by Fosbury and Kevin Harrison. And it looks like PTRL Naz has just joined. That is going to be Jorge Correa. That is Pestana's Haas teammate. And we're waiting for the time to count down. An unbelievable qualifying session. A lot of back and forth between a couple of drivers. And Suarez is expressing his displeasure with Luis Wassman. So here's your starting order. Kevin Harrison, followed by Jared Fosbury, and then Paco Suarez, who has 5-second time penalties, or grid penalties, I believe. Andre Zaz, Cameron Weston-Edwards, who was pretty quiet, coming in 5th. Andre Pestana is 6th. Jack Yates is 7th. Luis Wassman 8th. Adrian Storm is 9th. He did not set a time. James Jock comes home 10th with no time. Ivan Brito and Alexander Bastos and Jorge Correa will be joining us as well. So we'll wait for the game to reset. We'll do the formation lap in just a moment as we get ready to do a 50% race here at the night. And was Jorge Correa able to get in time to actually join this race? It says PTRL Naz has left the session, so maybe he will not be able to join the race, unfortunately. So it looks like the rain is done. So Nexus Aspect, Kevin Harrison is your pole sitter. As they do the formation lap, he'll be starting on the medium tires. Can he stay out in front and pick up another podium finish this year? Jared Fosbury has 3 podiums so far this year. He'll be looking to try and make it to the top step. He's going to be starting on the soft tires. And Andre Zaz, a good qualifying effort by him, be starting in the 3rd position. Can he stay atop the podium? And Cameron Weston-Edwards has been manic with starts so far this year, but on a tight course like this, will he be able to make his way to the front? Passing is going to be key, and so is pit strategy. There are going to be a lot of undercuts going on throughout the course of this race. Andre Pestana will be starting in the 5th spot. We'll be able to keep that and move forward and put some points on the board for the Haas F1 team. And Jack Yates will be starting in 6th. Can he work his way through the field and get back to another podium finish and make it 6 for 6 so far this year? Luis Wassman, there was some discussion about him during qualifying in the Racing Point. Paco Suarez not happy that he was given those penalties, having to deal with the lapped car. I'm sorry, not even the lapped car, but the car that was off the pace. Luis Wassman. Adrian Storm didn't set a qualifying time, but nonetheless, he'll be starting in 8th with that hand injury. See if he can work his way through the field and score some points for the Mercedes F1 team. And James Jock is coming off of a DNF last week. Hopefully he'll be able to score some points And so he'll be starting in the 9th position. Alexander Bastos came home 10th last week. He'll be looking to improve upon that for the Team Renault. And then Paco Suarez, he's the one that had the issues with Luis Wassman in qualifying. He'll be starting on the soft tires, see if he can work his way into the points. Should be relatively easily, since he'll be starting in 11th. And then Ivan Brito in the McLaren, he did not set a time. Jared Fosbury's teammate will be starting all the way in 12th. He'll be starting on the soft tires as well. So 5 red lights. Lights are out. Time to run what you brought their way in a puff of smoke, and Kevin Harrison gets a good jump. Here comes Cameron Weston Edwards on the outside. He tries to pull a Schumacher move. Makes up 2 spots. Goes into the 3rd spot. So Edwards already up to 3rd from the start. Andre Zaz has fallen a spot. Andre Zaz is up to 2nd. It was Andre Pestana who has lost the spot. And look at this. Jared Fosbury has fallen back to 4th. And we've got caution flags in sector 1 and 2 right at the changeover. That's going to be in the back. That's Ivan Brito and Alexander Bastos. Adrian Storm is up to 10th. Luis Wassman has lost the spot. And Jack Yates is sitting in 6th right now. And there's action all over the track. Hard to make passes here. It looks like we're having some issues with timing and scoring. We see Kevin Harrison. He's got Andre Zaz all over the back of him. Cameron Weston Edwards in the green helmet. Looks like he's got Jared Fosbury working on his gearbox. And now the timing and scoring is going to pick up, give us some time intervals. And Ivan Brito is already into the pits. Looks like he probably picked up some wing damage. He'll be pulling in. Yes, they're going to swap out the front wing, throw on a new set of tires, and he'll be away. He'll have a lot of time. At least he was early in the race. He'll have a lot of time to try and make up for and put some points on the board. As we watch Andre Zaz and Kevin Harrison. Harrison runs out a little wide. The turn radius on these cars is, I mean, even when it's maxed out, if you don't hit that hairpin, even as slow as it is, you get pushed out towards the wall. And Zaz is all over the back of Harrison Sauber. I'm sorry, Alfa Romeo, not a Sauber anymore. And you have to be so careful picking your spot, where to make a pass on this track. It's so tight, and these cars are so wide this year. Nose to tail, there's a very small DRS, drag reduction zone on the front stretch, down into turn 1, and that's going to be your best opportunity to try and make a pass, but even that's going to be tight. And Harrison now able to pull out. We look out the back of the Red Bull. You see Cameron Weston Edwards in hot pursuit. And Kevin Harrison sets the fastest lap, and he's been able to gap Zaz now. And Jack Yates, we're going to pick up Jack Yates, and there's a 3-second time penalty for James Jock for cutting the corners. And here comes Jack Yates, the Iceman himself, going to try and make a move, looking to get around Andre Pestana in the Haas. So hard on a big lock up there on the right front. Looks like there's a move in the back there. That is Suarez trying to get around Luis Wassman, and there's no love lost there. Those two had a little bit of bump and grind in the qualifying session, and that is what caused Suarez to pick up those 5-second time penalties. Oh, and the back end kicks out on Suarez's car. And Suarez not close enough to make a move. Jack Yates, though, still trying to find a way around Pestana. Meanwhile, nothing's changed at the front. Kevin Harrison's been able to gap Andre Zaz now by 0.8 of a second. If you fall back 1.3, you're going to pick up Cameron Weston Edwards, followed by Jared Fosbury. And then you've got this gaggle of cars here. This is a 4-car battle for the 5th spot. And it's Andre Pestana, followed by Jack Yates. Yates is close enough now. The DRS slot is open. He's going to try and make a move. He's side by side, heading down into turn 1. Makes the move on the outside. Great move by Jack Yates. And now he's got Andre Zaz all over the gearbox as they head to the top of the hill. Sweeping left-hander Jack Yates finally able to get around Pestana. Picks up the 5th spot. And he's going to start his pursuit for another podium finish. And now down to the inside. Looks like that's Suarez trying to make a move. Oh no, and he's hit the wall. That's Luis Wassman. Nope, it's James Jock, and now he's got Suarez into the wall. There goes Wassman, and now the Mercedes are both. Adrian Storm moves up to 9th. Paco Suarez is going to be hot after that altercation. And that was James Jock. It wasn't Luis Wassman that time. I'm getting my Racing Point F1 cars confused, but that was James Jock, and Jock cuts the chicane. He'll get a warning for corner cutting on that. He's followed by his teammate Luis Wassman. Adrian Storm pulls over and lets his teammate go by. Suarez is going to pick up the 8th or 9th spot. Storm, struggling with that hand injury, very wisely lets his teammate go through. So unbelievable turn of events, and now we're going to pick up Jared Fosbury. He's all over Cameron Weston Edwards. Looks like he was trying to make a move heading into turn 1. Nose to tail, he's going to think about it. That's very tight racing right there. And a 3-second time penalty for Luis Wassman for corner cutting. We just spoke about that as he cut that chicane. Very slow through there. Another 3-second time penalty. This one's picked up by Ivan Brito with McLaren. Brito currently running in the 12th spot, 33 seconds behind Alexander Bastos in 11th. So Fosbury trying to find his way around Cameron Weston Edwards. And Edwards is probably one of the toughest drivers to get around in IRL. He is definitely the Ryan Newman of IRL when it comes to defending his spot. So life is already difficult for guys to try and get around him on a track that is wide, say like Silverstone or Catalunya. They are not going to have a good time trying to find a way around him on this track. They're going to have to try and go for an undercut, maybe some pit strategy. Andre Zasdow picks up the fastest lap, and he's closed the gap down to Kevin Harrison within half a second. As you see the 3-car battle behind him, that's Weston Edwards, followed by Jared Fosbury, and Jack Yates has caught that battle. And James Jock now loses the position to Paco Suarez, and there's bits of carbon fiber flying away. So Suarez goes to the 8th spot, and I'm willing to bet there was probably a little bit of argy-bargy there trying to take that spot away from James Jock at the Racing Point. Harrison looks like he had a good middle sector there through the hairpin and the slow right-handers as they head through the tunnel. Who's able to gap now Andre Zaz to 7/10 of a second. And what has happened here, this is Cameron Weston Edwards is running in 3rd. He's been able to pull away from Jared Fosbury a little bit. Fosbury's still got Jack Yates all over the back of him. And Suarez picks up a 3-second time penalty, and so does Adrian Storm. Now here comes Zaz with the DRS slot open. They'll be able to close that gap a little bit as they head to turn 1. Working lap 7 of 39, and here comes the 3-car battle again. Edwards, Fosbury, and Yates, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. It looks like Fosbury and Yates are both on the softer tires. Edwards is going to be on the medium, so he's going to be able to run a little bit longer first stint than these two, but these guys are going to have more grip. Oh, look at this. We talked about how hard it is to make that corner if you don't hit it right. Edwards went a little bit wide, almost left the door open for Fosbury, but you just can't get the power down in that corner. It's just too tight. We got a yellow flag in Sector 2. And Yates thought about making a move on Fosbury, wasn't close enough. So really, your only 2 real passing zones is coming out of the tunnel, heading down to that chicane. And then your other passing zone would be in turn 1 coming down the front stretch with the DRS. In neither case are they very long. And here they'll get the DRS slots open on the McLaren and the Sauber as they both try to find a way around Cameron Weston Edwards. And it looks like that problem in Sector 2 we saw might have been Andre Zaz. Did he come in and make a stop? No, he is not pitted. Nobody's pitted except for James Jock and Ivan Brito, both running in the back, so he must have had a little bit of an off there. So we'll go back to the battle for 3rd here. This 3-car battle that won't let up. And now these guys are actually starting to catch Andre Zaz. And actually, as that's happening, Pastana is actually starting to catch them. So your 3-car battle could be turning into a 4-car battle here in a couple of laps. And pit strategy is going to be key. This is a very long race, 39 laps today. And Fosbury is just keeping pace with Edwards, trying to maybe force him into a mistake, trying to pick his spot. He's got to be extremely, and he gives him a little bit of a bump and run there, trying to get around him, give him a little bit of the chrome horn. So Fosbury's DRS slot open. He's not going to be close enough to make a move. And that's really where Fosbury is going to have to maybe pick his spot. He's going to have to be right on the gearbox of Cameron Weston Edwards to Razcast. And now we've got Paco Suarez and Luis Wassman going at it. This is Suarez getting around another Racing Point F1 car, and he's on a tear trying to get around those two. He is not happy with the problems he's had with the Racing Point cars so far this weekend, dealing with them in qualifying and now through the race, contact with them. Suarez is going to be hot after this race, that is for sure. We've got a yellow flag, Sector 2. Not sure who that was. Still have a yellow flag in Sector 2. Looks like somebody's been into the wall. You see all the debris laying down there at the end of that chicane. It looks like Fosbury may have had an issue because he's lost a lot of ground now. He's 2 seconds off of Cameron Weston Edwards. And now he's got Jack Yates all over the back of him. Now if Yates can get all over the gearbox of him right here through Razcast. And now Yates is going to have the DRS availability. Fosbury's not. You got to be within 1 second of the car in front. And he's going to try and make a move around the outside. Crossover move up to the top of the hill. They bang off of each other. And then Yates makes the move, but he loses the left front end plate on his wings. And now he's going to have a loss of downforce. He's going to struggle with that. That's going to burn out the tires. Fosbury's going to be right behind him. It looks like Fosbury's actually got a loss of downforce as well. It looks like he's lost the end plate both sides of his wing. So must have been Fosbury that we had that yellow flag in Sector 2, so he's going to be struggling now. And here comes Pastana along with Paco Suarez. Pastana now, and you can see Fosbury is visibly struggling with the car. He's got no front downforce. Both end plates are going off the wing. Very slow through the tunnel. Here goes Pastana down to the inside. He thought about it, and then he thought twice. Good thought process there from Pastana. He could have dive bombed that, made some contact. He just needs to stay and keep pace with Fosbury, use the DRS on the front stretch, and make the move heading into turn 1. And there's a good chance here Fosbury's going to dive into the pit, so these guys are going to be able to move up. So Suarez now, this is going to be the battle for 5th. And that's disappointing for Jared Fosbury. Looks like they're swapping over the softs for the mediums. They put on a new front wing. And he will be away. So now this is your closest battle on track. This is Paco Suarez trying to make up for grid penalties and time penalties throughout qualifying, throughout the race. He's finally able to race a different car than a Racing Point, so he'll be happy about that. But the Racing Point is not that far behind. That's Luis Wassman coming into frame there. So as these two battle it out, Wassman might be able to close that gap back up. It's currently 2.6 seconds back to him in the 7th spot. Suarez going to be looking to try and make a move here. They're coming through Razcast. They're getting ready to come through Razcast now. Ooh, and he cuts that a little wide. He was a little off the mark heading out of the front stretch. So he's not going to be able to make a move. Looks like Jack Yates has just headed into the pits. He's going to be swapping over his front wing and a new set of softs. I should say mediums, I'm sorry. And he's going to come out. Looks like Alexander Bostos is heading into the pit, so Yates should be able to head back out. Looks like he's going to be coming out in 9th. So Jared Fosbury just went by for the 9th position. So no, Jack Yates is able to get out in front of Jared Fosbury. So Fosbury tried to pit and get the undercut, but wasn't able to. He struggled so much on his end lap with no front grip. And Yates is able to get out in front and get clear of Jared Fosbury for the 8th spot. Meanwhile, Suarez is still working on the backside of Andre Pestana. The Portuguese driver trying to hold his own against Suarez. And a 3-second time penalty for Adrian Storm. Storm currently running in the 7th spot, struggling with that hand injury that he talked about earlier. And now Cameron Weston-Edwards dives into the pit. There's a 5-second time penalty for Adrian Storm speeding into the pit lane. That's going to cost him. So now Suarez is up to 4th, so this is a battle for 3rd now as they're still working through the pit sequence. Oh, and it looks like Suarez just brushed the wall a little bit. Jared Fosbury just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:13.152. Oh, and look at this, Suarez dive bombs. Pestana gives him a little shoulder check, and he's going to take the position. And Adrian Storm picks up another 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. And it looks like Suarez is going to give the position back. So it looks like, oh, and a big lock up there from Pestana. So Suarez getting a little frustrated trying to find his way around Pestana. Dive bombed him at the hairpin. And he probably knew that might get looked at the end of the race. So he gave the position back. So the investigation will probably be all for naught. And now you've got the racing point of Luis Wassman. And here goes Suarez into the pit. So Wassman's going to take up the 5th position. I'm sorry, he's going to pick up the 4th position. Meanwhile, Kevin Harrison has yet to pit. And neither has... Actually, your top 4 drivers have yet to pit. And Jack Yates just at the fastest lap at a 1:11.970. That's 2 seconds faster than Jared Fosbury. So the cars are a little bit spread out now. Your top 4 cars have yet to pit. That's Kevin Harrison, who's been leading since the drop of the green flag, followed by Andre Zaz. Great qualifying effort for him. Good effort trying to stick with Harrison. And then you've got Andre Pestana, who's been hard fought trying to work his way through the field into the 3rd spot. Luis Wassman, a lot of controversy around him, the racing point. He's up to 4th. 5th is Cameron Weston-Edwards, followed by Jack Yates, who's on a tear, setting fast lap after fast lap. Jared Fosbury is going to be behind him in 7th. Paco Suarez, who's a lot of attention's been focused on him this week, and he'll be running in 8th. Adrian Storm has been struggling with that hand injury, quietly running in the points in the back at 9th. James Jock has been able to work his way into 10th, and there's a yellow flag sector 2. We pick up Alexander Bastos in the Renault, and then Ivan Brito in the McLaren. He's almost a lap down at this point. Actually, he is probably a lap down to the leader. Yes, he is 1 lap down officially to the leader of this race as he heads back out onto the front stretch. So the next battle we've got is materializing is Cameron Weston-Edwards and Jack Yates. This is going to be for the 5th spot. We saw the difficulties that some of the drivers had earlier trying to get around Cameron Weston-Edwards. I can't imagine life's going to be any easier for them. Try to work through this one. So out of the tunnel. So Yates, I don't think he's going to be close enough. He needs to be all over the gearbox as they head into the DRS zone. He's going to be pretty close. I don't know why we're looking out the back of the car, so we're going to look at the front. And he is very close heading up to the top of the hill. These two are actually starting to close the gap now to Luis Wassman, you see right there. And what's happening now is, because Yates hasn't been able to find a way around Cameron Weston Edwards, though he is thinking about it, swings to the inside, late braking, and they do give it a little bit of a shoulder check and some argy-bargy. That's a tight move, but Jack Yates makes it work. Cameron Weston Edwards picks up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. That will probably be reneged at the end of the race because he was forcibly set out of the bounds. So that 3-second time penalty will probably be taken back at the end of the race. Nonetheless, he loses the position to Jack Yates, and now Yates is going to set his sights on Luis Wassman. Wassman has yet to pit. Fosbury has started closing in that gap on the battle with those two between Jack Yates and Cameron Weston Edwards. But since Edwards was able to get past, looks like he's going to be on his own for a little while. Yates, though, setting another tear through the streets here of Monaco. He's already caught up to Wassman, so Jack Yates flying around this track right now, and Wassman is very slow through this section here. He is on very worn medium tires, and Yates looks like he's going to set him up for the same kind of pass that he did on Edwards. Oh my goodness, what a move, and around the outside, and he gets clipped by Wassman, so Wassman picks up a 3-second time penalty. Yates is going to get the position, and that was very close to ending in tears for a couple of drivers. And now Wassman has come under threat from Cameron Weston Edwards. And a big lockup there through Rascass on the right front. Wassman stays out another lap. He's got 18 laps on those medium tires. He's running a very long first stint on those medium tires. And Edwards, he's actually on the hard tires, so he's probably going to run those hards all the way to the end of this race. That's going to be a really long stint on the hard tires. Edwards, though, looks like those hard tires are coming into their own. He's definitely faster than Wassman through this area, but with the track being so narrow, the cars being so wide, it's so hard to make a pass here. And you see Fosbury coming into frame there, so Fosbury's still in a hot pursuit, trying to catch up to this mid-pack battle here. Edwards all the way to the inside. Oh, and he has to cut it loose. And we look at the back of the Ferrari. You see Fosbury coming into frame. Fosbury is coming, and he does make the move. He finally makes a move around Wassman, and that was a great time to make that move because now Wassman's going to be able to hold up Fosbury. And this track is so hard to get around with these cars. I mean, the one thing a Formula One car is made to do is go as fast as possible. And this is definitively the slowest track on the whole circuit. Wassman finally pits after running 19 laps. And now Fosbury is going to set his sights on Cameron Weston Edwards for the 5th position. And we've got a battle going on here. This is Jack Yates. He just got around Andre Pestana for the 3rd spot. So Jack Yates, the Iceman, works his way into the podium spot. And if he can stay there, he'll be back in 1,000 at 6 for 6. 6 races this year with a podium finish if he can finish on the top 3 steps. Meanwhile, his teammate Kevin Harrison has been able to pull out to a 5.5-second gap over Andre Zaz in the Red Bull. Meanwhile, Jared Fosbury is working on the backside of Cameron Weston Edwards in the Ferrari. Fosbury here. This will definitely be an interesting battle. Fosbury is last season's F2 champion. It was an inaugural season for F2 through IRL. And a caution in Sector 2. Oh, and it looks like Ivan Brito's retired from the session. Not sure if he crashed out or if he decided to call it a day because he was not making any progress, unfortunately, for Ivan Brito. He was a lap down to the leaders. He was almost a lap down to James Jock at 11th spot. Meanwhile, Fosbury's got the DRS slot open. Crossover move as they head to the top of the hill. And they're side by side. And look at Edwards. He gives him the squeeze all the way to the wall. Oh, and then out to the inside. Fosbury looks like he might have clipped the wall a little bit with the left front. And a 3-second time penalty is being picked up by Alexander Bastos for corner cutting. We try and keep tabs on all these things. Great defensive driving by Cameron Weston. Arizona gets a little bit of a bump there. Doesn't look like Fosbury lost any wing. He might maybe just a little bit out of shape. You can see Fosbury's working the car to see if he's got any loss of grip on the front end. And now, Kevin Harrison finally pitted from first. He gives up first to Andre Zaz. And Harrison is back out on track. Uh-oh, and here we've got, oh my! Looks like there was some damage there. Looks like that was Jared Fosbury just clipped the back, and we just caught it. Looked like he hit the back end of Pistana. And yeah, you can see it on the right front. The right front end plate is gone on Jared Fosbury's front wing, and he's not going to be happy about that. It looked like Pistana was trying to make a pit stop. And Cameron Weston Edwards and Fosbury had to find their way around him, and Fosbury made contact with the rear of Pistana's Haas F1 machine. So that is a series of unfortunate events for Jared Fosbury. Alexander Bastos finds himself in the pits again, pitting from the 10th spot. That is the last points paying position. So now we're going to do a little bit of a grid reset. Now, your only driver that has yet to pit is Andre Zaz. Zaz is now pulled out 11.3 seconds over Kevin Harrison. And Harrison, he's actually going to have his teammate Jack Yates all over the back of him. Paco Suarez picks up a 3-second time penalty, and I'm interested to see if there's going to be any type of team orders here between these two cars, because technically Jack Yates is the championship points leader, and Alfa Romeo as a team, they have a lockdown right now in the team championship standings. So they're both, the Constructors Championship is all Alfa Romeo right now. The Drivers' Championship is up for grabs between Jack Yates, Jared Fosbury, and Eric Salama. Salama is not in today's race. Salama won last week's race at the Circuit of the Americas. Now, Salama is not able to participate in every race every weekend. However, the 3 races that he's done so far this year, he has won all 3 of those races. So he's won 3 out of the 5 races this year, and that is what is keeping him in championship contention. But I'm interested to see if Kevin Harrison will give up the top spot to his teammate Jack Yates, since he is the points leader and clearly all over the back of him. And Andre Zaz really needs to be thinking about making that pit stop right now. If Zaz pitted now, he would probably come out 3rd. It would be really close. It would be, pit stop delta is about 23 seconds here, so he should come out 3rd, no problem, if he pits now. He's through the swimming pool section. He's going through Rascas. We'll see if he makes, oh my goodness, he cuts that very wide. And he's going to stay out another lap. Meanwhile, we're going to pick up Iceman, Jack Yates. And it looks like Harrison is going to let him by, so Jack Yates is going to take over 2nd spot. This is ultimately going to be top spot. And Andre Zaz has to pit now. He is giving up too much time to the Alfa Romeos. The gap was out to 9 seconds. It's now down to 7, and he's losing time not just to them, but he's losing a little bit of time to Cameron Weston Edwards. Edwards has the potential to pick up the 3rd spot through the pit stop. but he is actually still battling with Jared Fosbury. So Fosbury still running with that wing damage on the right front. I'm a little surprised. We'll pick up Cameron Weston Edwards, see if we can see any wing damage on the front of his car. It looks like maybe the left front end plate is gone on his. Should get a shot going through here. Yeah, the end plate is gone on Cameron Weston Edwards' Ferrari. So the Ferrari and the McLaren both have wing damage. Left front end plate going on the Ferrari, right front end plate going on the McLaren. And while these two have been running with minimal downforce, Paco Suarez is coming into frame. And look at this. Jared Fosbury thought about going around the outside. And these two are struggling as they run with very low front downforce. Fosbury going to try. And look at it. Suarez comes flying in. He's got full downforce. And Suarez has got to pick his spot very cleanly to try and make a pass. Oh, it's going to be close, and here comes Suarez. And Suarez is looking to get a 2-for-1 deal as these two battle it out with low downforce, struggling with front-end grip. Fosbury tries to get to the inside. Oh, he busts up the left front. And again, Jared Fosbury clipping that inside wall through that left-hander. And it looks like Fosbury now has got no end plates on his wing. Oh, he gives the chrome horn to Cameron Weston Edwards as these two struggle to try and make it around the hairpin. And here goes Suarez. Suarez to the inside. Fosbury knows better not to fight him off. Fosbury knew he couldn't hang on to that position. He let Suarez go by, so Suarez now in a hot pursuit for Cameron Weston Edwards. Edwards is not going to give up the position that easily as he picks up a 3-second time penalty going through the chicane there. And Fosbury is expressing his displeasure on the live chat with Cameron Weston Edwards driving. And Edwards, we talked about it earlier, about how protective he is of his spots. He's very hard to get around. He's not going to make life easy for Suarez. Suarez, he tries to push it. Well, he doesn't try to push it, but he takes that outside line away. Suarez is going to race him to the top of the hill. He's all over the gearbox of the Ferrari now. Edwards hanging on to that front spot, just clips the Armco, and Suarez to the inside. He's going to make contact with him. The back end slides out of the Ferrari. And a 3-second time penalty for James Jock. Fosbury expressing that Edwards will get a time penalty at the end of this race for his aggressive driving. Be interesting to see how that discussion goes down behind closed doors. Andre Zaz finally pits. So now we're going to be watching Cameron Weston Edwards. I think he's going to be too far off. He's just now heading through the swimming pool section. I think Zaz is going to be comfortably, he's leaving the pits now. He should be able to hang on to the third spot. No problem. Yep, and here comes Edwards. He's just now getting out on the front stretch. Zaz coming out of the pits now as he heads to the top of the hill, turn one. Oh, but he crossed the yellow line. I want to say double yellow line because of Talladega last week, so. Edwards is a lot closer to Zaz than I thought he would be, so pit stop delta is close to 23 to 26 seconds, depending on what you're getting done to the car. Suarez, he can smell blood in the water. He wants to get around Edwards, and look at this. He's going to try and go around the outside. He's going to have the inside line. He's going to definitely push him wide, heading through the hairpin here. Suarez is going to take that spot, whether Edwards likes it or not. And now Suarez can set his sights on the third step of the podium and try and chase down Andre Zaz. But Zaz is going to have soft tires and be able to run all the way to the end of this race. 12 laps remaining. So with the pit stops done now, we can do a little. Oh no! Suarez into the wall. What a massive crash by Paco Suarez. Car rolls into the Armco upside down and against it. Unbelievable. He clipped the inside wall. And Cameron Weston Edwards is going to take back the fourth spot. Unbelievable crash by Paco Suarez. And this is going to be a weekend he is going to want to forget about. Unbelievable wreck. Suarez done for the day. He was going through the swimming pool section. He hit that left front. on the arm cone and broke the left front suspension, blew through the chicane into the wall, almost flipped the car over. And coincidentally enough, through all this, the battle for 10th is between Alexander Bastos and James Jock. And they're both going to be able to now pick up points. Since we started with 12 cars, these guys are going to be able to be running 9th and 10th. So this has now become the battle for 9th. Meanwhile, Adrian Storm, who's been struggling with that hand injury. Oh, we just missed it, but looks like Bastos is going to pick up that 9th spot as Jones dives into the pits. Anyways, Adrian Storm, we're going to pick him up as he's battling for the 5th spot against Luis Wassman, and Storm struggling with that hand injury. Really been putting in a very competitive drive despite it. So after that unbelievable turn of events, let's get a little bit of a grid reset. 10 laps to go in this unbelievable night race here at Monaco. Jack Yates, the Iceman, has worked his way from mid-pack to the front. And he'll be looking to pick up another win and try to extend on that championship points lead. His teammate, Kevin Harrison, showed that he is a rainmeister in the wet when it came to qualifying as he took the pole in the wet conditions. Andre Zaz with a great effort today, running in 3rd. Cameron Weston Edwards, a lot of discussion about him today, still struggling with that front end grip. He's got Luis Wassman. Well, that's not Luis Wassman. Who was that? Edwards has got somebody behind him, but it looks like they may be a lap down. That probably James Jock, as Edward picks up another 3-second time penalty. And you heard Jared Fosbury, you saw in the live chat, Fosbury discussing that the aggressive, or as he put it, dirty weaving from Cameron Weston Edwards will be investigated after this race, and he will probably get a time penalty, so that could drop him in the finishing order at the end of this race. Luis Wassman is running in 5th. He has got Adrian Storm all over the back of him. Meanwhile, Jared Fosbury has struggled with a couple of, this is his 3rd wing that he's had to put on the car. He started with one and he's had to replace it twice. He's actually closing in on this battle for 5th, though, so that could be a 3-car battle starting to materialize. We pick up Pistana. Pistana's back in the pits, and he's probably going to be getting tires. It looks like he'll be getting front wing as well, so he has hit the wall. Alexander Bastos moved into 9th, and James Jock is going to be rounding out your top 10 points paying positions, with Paco Suarez with that unbelievable crash and Ivan Brito calling it a day. And Storm looks like he just lost the position to Jared Fosbury. That was quick. So Fosbury makes quick work of Adrian Storm. Storm, I think, though, knows better. He's been struggling with that hand injury. We saw him let his teammate go by earlier. He may have done the same thing for Jared Fosbury. He knows he's not as quick as him on a good day, so why battle him on a bad day when he's struggling with that hand injury? Jared Fosbury now is going to be closing down the gap to Luis Wassman. And there's a lot of time penalties, in-game time penalties, to be assessed at the end of this race. So we see Fosbury trying to make a move. DRS slot open. Adrian Storm picks up a 5-second time penalty. Wassman's not making it easy for Fosbury. And Fosbury, he's had about enough of weaving from other cars. Tries to get the power down the back end, kicks out of the McLaren. They run to the top of the hill. And this is where Fosbury has really struggled up to today. Tries to get to the inside. Looks like he might have clipped that Armco again. He's been struggling with that left-hander all day. And now he makes the run down to the inside. Slams on the brakes. A big lock up in the right front of Wassman's Racing Point F1 car. And look at this Fosbury. He's got the soft tires. This is fresh softs versus worn hards. And Adrian Storm dives into the pits, and he's coming back out. He'll be running in 8th. And here we go. Fosbury looking to make a move. Nope, not this time by. He's going to save it. Another lock up on the right, or on the left front of the Racing Point, Wassman's car. And Fosbury, he's been struggling with that left-hander at the top of the hill. If he can stick with him and get all over the gearbox up through Razcast in the swimming pool section. Look at this. Going to try to make a move around the outside. Power move by Jared Fosbury. Go through Razcast. Great move. And he's going to have the DRS slot open because he was behind Luis Wasserman at the detection zone. So he's able to get that gap, and that's going to move him into 5th. And now Fosbury can set his sights on his nemesis in this race, Cameron Weston Edwards. He is 13 seconds behind Cameron for the 4th spot. And Jack Yates just came across the line to start lap 33 of 39, 7 to go. Jack Yates, 7.5 seconds ahead of his teammate Kevin Harrison. Andre Zaz, 14, almost 15 seconds behind them. In the 3rd spot, Cameron Weston Edwards is 21 seconds behind them. That is James Jock behind him. That is a lap car. And if Edwards was smart, he would let him go by. And then you've got Jared Fosbury behind him. Now, Fosbury is in the 5th spot. He's 11.5 seconds behind. And he is closing that gap to Cameron Weston Edwards rapidly because it was 12.5 seconds last time by. So a full second that time by. Luis Wasserman is running in 6th. Andre Pestana has been up and down today. He's now currently running in 7th. Adrian Storm behind him on soft tires. Alexander Bastos running in 9th, and James Yaki has now made it by Cameron Weston Edwards. That is not a battle for position. We're going to pick up Jared Fosbury there. Fosbury has now closed that gap down to 10 seconds. Looks like we've got Bebop Drip. That's Jeremy Pope. He says he died on lap 14, but that would be Jeremy Pope. He would be referring to the F3 race. The F3 race going on at the same time as the F2. So Jeremy Pope looks like he crashed out on lap 14, but he is now tuning in for the F2 race. 5 laps to go as we watch Jared Fosbury closing that gap down to Cameron Weston Edwards. Edwards has got wing damage. He's been running like that for a number of laps now. You can see it here as the left front end plate is gone. He bangs the left side wall. Fosbury has now got that gap cut down to 9 seconds. So he is lapping at about a second a lap faster than Cameron Weston Edwards. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to actually get to the back of him. And even if he gets to the back of Cameron Weston Edwards, Edwards has shown today that you're not getting around him very easily at all. And Adrian Storm picking up a number of penalties here. 3-second time penalty and then a 5-second time penalty as he dives into the pits. And it looks like he serves that penalty, gets back in. And Adrian Storm is away, is now going to fall to 9th. Meanwhile, Jared Fosbury trying to close that gap to Cameron Weston Edwards is now 7.5 seconds. We're going to hop on board with him through Razkaz. Fosbury now out onto the front stretch, gets the power down. He's got the soft tires on, and he's in hot pursuit. Down into turn 1, makes the run up the hill. Now this is where he has struggled today. He's been trying to cut this corner awfully tight heading through here. Much cleaner and smoother there that time. Gets the power down. Cuts this one very tight. Bumps it up into second. Power down through the tunnel. Out of the tunnel down into this chicane. Cuts that one very close. Over the curbs. 6.3 seconds. The time is dropping. He is really trying to get to Cameron. Through the swimming pool section now. See just how hard it is to get around this track. The walls almost mesh together when you're running at speed. And back out on the front stretch now, 5.2 seconds behind Cameron Weston Edwards. Alexander Bastos running 8th. Looks like we've got Eric Salomon joining us on the live chat. And Paco Suarez is expressing his disdain for today's driving. Unbelievable driving today for most people. And he did have the pace to win, but some people don't know how to defend. So Suarez had that unbelievable crash at the swimming pool section. Jared Fosbury now 4.5 seconds back to Cameron Weston Edwards. And he can see him now. He can see him. In the swimming pool section, he blows it through there real quick. Adrian Storm sets fastest lap, 1:11.862, putting in an amazing effort with that hand injury. And there he is. He can just now see him onto the front stretch. Just caught a glimpse of him. There he is running to the top of the hill, 3 laps to go. The gap is now down to less than 3 seconds, 2.9. Fosbury on a tear. And he is very quick through this section. This is where Edwards really struggles with that lack of downforce on the front end. You can see his name. Fosbury is coming, 2 laps to go. And I know Fosbury wants that position for a number of reasons, but he definitely wants that position just to make a point to Edwards. You're not going to keep me back. Edwards has put in some strong defending today, some very dirty weaving, as Fosbury had put it, which is, you know, subject to opinion. I mean, it's a really narrow track. The cars are really wide. I mean, it's hard to say what exactly would be dirty weaving. I mean, you move a car this wide on a track this narrow, 1 foot to the left or the right, and that can be considered weaving, so it's hard to say. And now Fosbury is there less than a second. He is going to have the DRS advantage on the last lap. We've got a yellow flag at Sector 2. Not sure who that would be. And now Fosbury all over the back of Edwards, and Edwards is not going to give it up. And Alexander Bastos retires from 8th spot. Bastos must have been the yellow flag in Sector 2. Edwards picks up a 3-second time penalty. And that's the other thing we need to remember, time penalties that will be assessed, in-game time penalties that will be assessed at the end of this race. I know Edwards has multiple of them. I don't believe Fosbury does, but Fosbury wants to take the position and get around him regardless. Late braking, Fosbury has to cut the chicane. He's going to pick up a 5-second time penalty for corner cutting, and now he's weaving back and forth. And I think Fosbury at this point, 5 seconds, I think Fosbury's got the pace and probably the lack of time penalties over Edwards. He's probably going to be able to keep that position. So lap 39 of 39, we see pick up Jack Yates as he heads through the swimming pool section. And down in the Razkaz, you can see just how far ahead he is in front of everybody, as we just saw Jared Fosbury head through here in the 4th spot. So he's lapped all the way up to essentially 6th. So Jack Yates picks up another win. Congratulations to him. Kevin Harrison, who ran a brilliant race and had an amazing qualifying session to pick up the pole position. He will come home in 2nd. Andre Zaz also had a great qualifying effort, started 3rd, and he is going to end 3rd. He will come across the line. And Jared Fosbury is going to have some discussions to be had with Cameron Weston Edwards after this race. And Adrian Storm picks up a 5-second time penalty for not serving a time penalty. That will be assessed at the end of this. So here comes Jared Fosbury. He will pick up the 5th spot. He'll be followed by Cameron Weston Edwards. A lot of discussion to be had with him at the end of this race. So after the in-game time penalties are assessed, we will see where everybody has finished. But there is Jack Yates. Sauber with another 1-2 finish to extend their manufacturer's points lead. Jack Yates with a win. And for what it's worth, that is Jack Yates' first win of the season. So he's finished on the podium in the first 5 races, never on top. So congratulations to him for picking up his first win of the season. Kevin Harrison picking up his second podium of the year. And Andre Zaz with his first podium of the year. So great finishing for the top 3. So here's your official finishing order. That is Jack Yates, followed by Kevin Harrison, Andre Zaz, Jared Fosbury, Cameron Weston Edwards will come home 5th, Luis Wassman 6th, Sneaky Pete, that is Andre Pestana, is 7th, James Yock is 8th, Adrian Storm with that hand injury comes home 9th, Alexander Bastos crashed out late in the race, comes home 10th, Paco Suarez with that unbelievable wreck at the swimming pool section is 11th, and Ivan Brito crashed out early and will come home 12th. So an unbelievable race today here. This was round 5 at Monaco. And we are going to try and get Fosbury in here for an interview. So we're going to try and get Jared Fosbury in here for a quick interview, and he'll be able to get in the top 3 drivers. And you can see on the live chat here explaining the problems that he had with Cameron Weston Edwards. So Jared Fosbury, a rough day for you. A lot of ups and downs and some very defensive driving that you had to deal with. How would you rate your day at the end of this unbelievable race here in Monaco?
Not the best race. I don't know what Cameron was playing at today. He just proved it again that he needs to go to driving school, because you make one defensive move, you don't make 5, and he's lucky that my footage didn't save. However, I did catch a bit of his incident with him on Sneaky, where he just lunged at him, and then he squeezed me off, almost put me in the wall, and then almost squeezed off Paco as well. So something that's going to have to be investigated with that. I'm sick of it, because he did this again in USA, so he needs to, watch where he is and where other guys are.
So there is the possibility that Cameron Weston Edwards will have penalties assessed after the stewards investigation, so he may not get to keep his 5th place finish.
Don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see if Paco sends footage of what he's been doing, because he's basically got a lot away with it with me, because I ain't got any footage, because for some reason my thing didn't want to record. But all I've got to say, he needs to pay attention next time, and I apologise to Jack with that bit of contact in turn 1. You tapped my rear and I couldn't brake in time. My bad. But other than that, Cameron was just being an idiot today, and I've got nothing else to say against him. So,
strong words from Jared Fosbury, but you did come home 4th, so a good points-paying day. Ask Jack Yates now. Jack Yates, you finally, after going 5 for 5 this year on podiums, you finally get to the top step. How does it feel to pick up your first win of the season?
Well, it's good.
And that's all you're going to get from Jack, guys. He's a man of few words. So, Kevin Harrison, great run in qualifying, showing that you are a Rain Meister, and a great race. A little bit of team orders there between you and Jack, or you just know that Jack was faster and you let him by during the race?
Yeah, it was team orders. He was quicker. It made no sense to hold him up, so yeah.
And unbelievable qualifying effort. You're really starting to show that you can definitely work the wet weather. So are you looking forward to more wet races where you can show that?
Well, I mean, I wish every race had intermediate conditions, because for some reason I'm just crazy, and like if this was a dry quali, I wouldn't have got pole. Guaranteed I wouldn't got pole. Like, that's just the intermediate conditions helping my pace. It's not Monaco. Like, I'm not necessarily quick at Monaco, so yeah, that's mainly how I got to pose the intermediate conditions. I'd love it if every race was like that, but it's not, so yeah. That's it, really.
Well, congratulations on your second podium of the year. Obviously, Alfa Romeo has been pulling away in the manufacturer standings, so congratulations to you two on another 1-2 finish for today. And we've got Andre Zaz. Andre Zaz picking up his first podium of the year. Congratulations to you. Ran a really good, steady race. How would you rate it in your opinion? Now, looking back on that, I mean, do you think you should have pitted sooner? You stayed out longer than anybody during the first stint, and I think it may have cost you a little bit of time ultimately through the pit sequence. Do you feel you should have pitted earlier through that? Well, congratulations on your podium, and obviously you had a great qualifying effort in the wet as well, so congratulations to that. So there you go, your top 4 drivers. You heard from Jared Fosbury, his dealings with Cameron Weston Edwards, and then we heard a quick yes from Jack Yates, and that's usually about all you get out of him. That's why they call him the Iceman. And Kevin Harrison, unbelievable qualifying session and a great race for him. And then obviously Andre Zaz picking up his first podium of the year. So, guys, we can pick this all up again on October 20th next week. Actually, that's this week. I'm sorry. October 27th is going to be Monza. So we're going to go from the slowest track on the schedule to the fastest track, Monza. How do you guys feel moving into Monza? Any expectations? You guys think you'll have the pace?
Well, I guess Jack could start, maybe.
Jack, how do you feel moving into Monza, going from a high downforce place like Monaco to the fastest track on the schedule? Going to be a bit of an adjustment, or you think you'll have the pace no matter what?
I'm not there, so...
Very well. Kevin Harrison, how do you think you're going to fare out in Monza?
Well, I mean, in the past it's been a good track for me. I seem to go pretty well around there. I mean, before I've beaten people in Monza that I wouldn't normally beat at other tracks, so it seems like one of my better tracks, I guess. Yeah, I think I could well be going for a win, podium for sure. Just kind of depends on who's racing, really.
And Andres, how do you think you're going to fare out in Monza? Is that one of your better tracks? And Jared, leading into the next race, you got lost a little bit of ground today to Jack Yates. You're going to be looking to make that up, obviously, heading into Monza. Is that one of your better tracks?
It's one of my best tracks out of the ones been. We'll just have to wait and see. As long as I'm not behind Cameron, I ain't got a problem. So just have to wait and see. Because next time I won't be so forgiving. But yeah, I'll see what I can do next week.
Jared Fosbury expressing his displeasure with Cameron Weston Edwards throughout the course of the race. So guys, this has been F1 2019 on the PS4 platform. This has been IRL F2 Season 2, Round 6 in Monaco. We did a Monaco night race. We left it up to the drivers, and they voted for a night race, and I think it turned out really well. So congratulations to the top 4 drivers, and be interesting to see what transpires after this race with any type of penalties heading into it. So congratulations to all the drivers. Guys, be sure to check out IRL online. It's International Racing League-IRL.com, and unfortunately we've been having some streaming issues with the YouTube channel, but be sure to check out their IRL YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. you feel free to do it to mine as well. But the races should not be here. Hopefully we'll get it situated for next week, and it'll be back on the IRL channel moving forward. But we will see y'all at the next round at Monza, October 27th. Same IRL time, same IRL channel. We'll see you next week.